Okay.
And that's going to be the intro.
That's right.
All right, everyone. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Nutrition Made Simple. This is a new video series that we're doing just to cover some of these basic ideas all through the year of how to make this more simple. So I'm here with Adam Chauncey, one of our health coaches. And if you're looking to lose weight, this is your guy. He is our expert on this. Well, I mean, we have other experts too, but you're probably the best expert, let's be honest.
Oh, man. Hope you're recording.
But we wanted to spend some time, like as we enter into a new year, we know that weight loss is going to be a top resolution for a lot of people. And there's so much misinformation out there. I mean, whether you're getting your health news from Instagram or the internet in general, we don't know. There's a lot of fad diets. There's a lot of things that don't work. And there are a lot of things that are just simply unhealthy. They may get you the goals that you want to reach, but you're going to compromise your health along the way. So we wanted to take a few minutes to talk about weight loss, healthy ways to do it, some different options that you might have, and how to meet those goals in the new year. Sure. So to start out, Adam, let's touch on the fact, like, when people consider dieting, mostly what they think of is, I need to eat less. And some people take that to the extreme of like, I've got to starve myself or I've got to fast like 3 meals a day in order to lose weight. And while that may help you lose some weight, that's not really the best way to do it, is it?
Sure. It's really what it comes down to is sustainability. And when you fast, which I love time-restricted eating. A lot of people refer to it as intermittent fasting, but time-restricted eating, taking a small window of your day and trying to eat everything in that window, say 8 hours or 10 hours even. I believe that works very well, and you can restrict food down in that window, and maybe you only can get 3 meals in. But the problem with really just not eating at all and just fasting all day long, you can do it once in a while, once a week is probably great, especially for people that are metabolically dysfunctional, have really high insulin scores, have different kinds of conditions that require such a drastic intervention. But for the majority of folks really just trying to get off the quarantine 15 or trying to lose 20, 30 pounds, there are more sustainable ways to do that, like the time restricted feeding, like I mentioned, not going so far into the whole calorie counting thing, because most of the time when you just strictly restrict calories, your body will shut down and stop burning fat. It just will. Your body wants to hold on to that fat because it is the best source of energy, period. And we have to play on that. So typically what I'll do is I'll have folks, prioritize their protein intake to help with satiety, help them feel full when they eat. And when you prioritize protein, especially animal source protein, you're going to get a lot of good fats with it. And with that comes usually a little bit more calories than you might be used to on a diet.
Right.
Which is, in this case, fine, because if you're prioritizing protein and filling the void with fat, you're not going to have room for the carbohydrates. And, a lot of my folks, I had a client today who she was wanting to get kick-started the first of the year, and she loves a paleo chili she makes with sweet potatoes instead of beans.
Yep.
And I said, that's great. Let's keep it in, but let's reserve it for dinner.
Okay.
So that's only dinner. And you're going to have your source of carbs. She might get 15, 20 carbs out of that meal. But the rest of the day, she's starting the day with a proper breakfast with plenty of protein, plenty of healthy fat. And who cares about the calories? Because I know she's only going to have that inkling of carbohydrate in the evening. And that way, all her day is set up to improve her insulin sensitivity and thus help her burn fat, prioritize that fat burning instead of carbohydrate.
Right. So healthy fats, healthy proteins should really be the main focus.
Correct.
Those are going to help keep you full longer and decrease kind of those cravings for the carby, sugary goodness.
Sure. And
that
now
we all want.
And now there, make no mistake, you're going to miss the food you're eating. I mean, there's a reason why we crave them, and it's because our ancestors were never designed to eat them.
Right.
You know, if it comes in a box, our ancestors didn't eat it.
Right.
So these simple sugars trigger areas of the brain similar to hardcore drugs like heroin and cocaine. So, you know, don't hold yourself to such a high standard thinking you can just avoid it at the drop of a hat. It's going to be tough. Right. It is. But this is definitely going to make it easier.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say that it doesn't have to be all or nothing 100% of the time. Right?
For sure, for sure.
We have people even on staff that follow kind of like that 80-20 rule. It's you give yourself 80% those healthy foods, those healthy fats and proteins that your body needs. But then 20% of the time, like if you want to have a single cookie after a meal, have a cookie. It's like it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to make like a huge impact as long as you can keep it to that one cookie and not eat like a sleeve of cookies all at once.
Start small, making an organic cookie. Yeah, you know, make the best possible choice you can.
Gluten-free, dairy-free, low glycemic.
You might as well just skip the cookie.
Whatever, man. All right, so with that in mind, with the healthy fats and the proteins in mind, I think it's important to say like when you are dieting, it's important to get the right foods, right? It's like you're not, you can't eat like a cinnamon roll and say, oh, I didn't eat many calories, or those are my calories, and then I'm not going to eat anything else. Right. It's like your body needs particular sources of energy that's important. Correct. So besides like the fats and proteins, what are some of the other things that you would concentrate on? So
yeah, what you're touching on is more of the kind of Instagram influencer type of style where as long as it fits my macros, I can have it. Right. And that's absolute, garbage. The problem with things like that is your body requires micronutrients as well as macronutrients. So the tiny nutrients that you need, like the B vitamins, your minerals, your trace minerals, your fat soluble minerals, or your fat soluble vitamins rather, like all these things your body has to have, you ain't gonna get out of a cinnamon roll. Right. So it's very important to diversify the foods, whether you're doing a full plant-based diet or a full carnivore diet, or like 80% of people thrive on something in between. Balancing it is the best way to go about it, and getting an actual meal when you sit down and eat rather than just a cinnamon roll or a protein bar. You want to actually make it more beneficial. You want to get those micronutrients out of your macronutrients.
Okay. So really nutrient dense foods. And I mean, obviously green vegetables are a big part of that as well. It's like there's a place for healthy fats and proteins. Obviously those are important. They're going to increase satiety, but those plants, those leafy greens, the broccolis, whatever, are going to pack a punch as well.
They will. And I'll go one step further and say for a lot of people, especially there are many people that don't tolerate plant foods or don't like them. I would challenge you to try some liver. Yeah. Try some kidney. Try some stuff like that out of an animal. And I know it sounds gross, but I promise you, if you're my age, around 30, you're probably not only your parents, but your grandparents probably ate it. And people talk about that argument all the time. Well, my grandparents ate this, and this, and lived to be 90. Well, they also ate chicken livers and cow livers, and they didn't leave any part of the animal untouched. And that's where you get the majority of those good nutrients. You actually get more in liver than you will in multiple cups of many vegetables. Right. So if you're looking for a weight to density ratio, a couple ounces of liver here and there would, if the broccoli turns your stomach, well, just blend up some of that liver in with your hamburger meat.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like you can mix it in. It's not like you're just sitting there frying up like a chicken liver or a kidney or whatever. Yeah. And I would say like it's important to source those well too.
For sure, just like with anything, you want grass-fed, grass-finished, high quality, no antibiotics, no growth hormones, everything. If you wouldn't want to subject yourself to it, you don't want your animals that you're eating to deal with it either, or the plants. Right. You don't want plants to be, what's that new thing they're doing, hydroponically grown, where they're grown in a greenhouse in water. Well, they're not absorbing any nutrients. So just because it's fancy and expensive doesn't always mean that it's the best quality.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a local butcher, if you're in the Chattanooga area, Main Street Meats is a fantastic place to source your meats, and they do have the organ meat as well.
Yes, and I believe they'll blend it.
Yeah,
too.
and they'll blend it in with your hamburger meat or ground beef if that's something you're interested in. Well, so that's definitely an option. So, beyond food, let's talk water intake.
For sure. Yeah.
That's a big one. That's a big one that so many people struggle with is to just simply drink water.
Yes.
Some people crave it, like the Dickens, and will drink 2 gallons a day, and it's no problem. And then I know people who struggle to get like 2 8-ounce cups in a day.
Yeah.
Or don't drink any at all, and it's like, oh well, I can survive off of coffee and Mountain Dew, which we would definitely not recommend. Please, Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah. So, as you are kind of looking at, we'll call it dieting, but it's really just like changing the way that you eat. Yeah. What are some typical water goals that you would recommend? And I know like electrolyte balance is really important as well. We have some great electrolytes that people often use when they're eating this way too. So what are water goals, and why are the electrolytes such an important add-on with that as well?
Sure. So electrolytes are so important because storing the water is how you stop from being dehydrated. You can drink all the water you want, but if you're not storing the water, if it's passing right through you, it's not doing as much good as it could. And most water, especially a lot of our viewers probably drink the purified water and all that, reverse osmosis, etc. But a lot of those lose mineral content as they're purified. So it's essential to get those nutrients, those minerals back in the water so it absorbs. And that alone makes a difference in many athletes' daily lives that I work with. And your standard, average Joe is going to benefit just as much because they're not even trying to get that kind of water in.
Right.
So if you're going to do it, make it easy enough, make it worth your effort. So take the water, add some salt to it, add some electrolytes to it, do something like that to get that nutrient profile up so it will work in your favor. You don't necessarily have to go out and drink an ounce of water per pound of body weight.
Yeah.
I'd be sitting here drinking almost 200 ounces of water. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So I'm probably, as conscious as I am, I might drink a close to a gallon a day if I do that. But one hack that I use to get to that is I start every morning off with 20 to 30 ounces of water. I roll out of bed, and I'm drinking water until I get in the shower. Okay. While my coffee's brewing, I'm drinking water. Because once I get that coffee, water's gone. Right. I'm drinking coffee for the next little bit, and I get to work, we get busy, and I forget. And then 4 or 5 o'clock rolls around, and I'm doing what I'm doing right now is every few words I'm licking my lips because I'm getting a little dehydrated. So do what you can to get the most out of your water intake. Add the electrolytes, make it absorbable, and try to get it in the most convenient time. Just try not to drink a lot of it before bed, or you're going to be waking up all night going to the bathroom and getting aggravated at me because I told you to drink the water. Yeah, and Gatorade and Powerade don't count, please. Nope. If you're looking for electrolyte sources, we have some really, really good options. We've got Superior, which is an all-natural electrolyte sourced from Lake Superior. I think it's Lake Superior, I believe, yeah. They're great. They've got 3 or 4 different flavors. They've got a citrus, grape, and raspberry is now. A new one. Yeah. Seriously, they taste really good. Yeah. It's not an overpowering taste, but it's enough to give your water a really good flavor. And honestly, it helps me drink more water for sure when I use them. And plus, you're getting the added benefits. So yeah. And I need to touch on this too because I can't believe I forgot to mention. But magnesium, people hear a lot about magnesium now, and I have folks coming in every day asking me about their potassium. They're having a cramp, a leg cramp, or an arm cramp, whatever. And they want to eat bananas to get that in. Well, a banana is about 20% pure sugar, depending on how ripe it is. So we want to avoid the bananas. But what we can do in place of that is we can eat an avocado, which has many more times the amount of potassium that a banana does. Or we can even take in some magnesium supplements. Yeah. And magnesium will spare potassium's usage in the body. So the more magnesium you take in, the more magnesium your body has, then the less potassium you're going to lose. Okay. So you're going to see probably a pretty good change in those cramps and everything, starting these new exercises and these new workouts you might be doing. Okay, cool. And on that note, let's touch on exercise for just a minute, and that will be kind of our last part here. Things are weird with the pandemic. Oh, yeah.
So things are closed down. Gyms especially are having, I mean, I don't know if they're having a hard time necessarily or not, but it's a little odd. It's not a normal gym setting right now. No. So for the people that are maybe a little leery of going to the gym, or people that are going from no exercise or pretty minimum wanting to do something as they enter into the new year, what are just some basic things that you would suggest as far as like a fitness routine?
Yeah. Well, number one is, don't worry about the treadmills. The treadmills are not going to help you at all. If anything, they're probably going to hurt you. So what you want to do is avoid most of what's called a steady state cardio program. And that's where you go to the gym and you see the guys or girls leaning on the treadmill, walking for the entirety of your workout. Or you see someone on the stair climber doing that. Or, it looks like they're just having a terrible time. They're not really putting forth any effort. And that's the problem. You want to put forth effort. You want to stimulate the muscle. So the best way to go about that is resistance training. And that's not just me being a meathead saying, you got to lift weights, you got to do bicep curls or whatever. It really, the physiology of it is, the more muscle you have, the more fat you'll burn. Your muscle will utilize the surrounding fat for energy the more you're exercising. And if you're using resistance as the mode of exercise, you're going to burn more, period. And then, of course, at the end of the exercise, if you want to throw in some cardio, fine. But do some high-intensity interval training, some HIIT training. And that means, even for the most novice trainer or exerciser, get on if all you have is a treadmill, get on the treadmill, start slow, speed it up for a couple minutes if you can, go back to slow. Maybe do some little lunges on the treadmill if you can for a couple minutes, then go back and do that 2 or 3 times. So 10, 15 minutes goes by a lot quicker than just walking back and forth. So that's the best way to do it. And, you don't need a whole lot of equipment. You really don't. Whether you're in a gym or you're at home, if you have a couple of dumbbells, if you have a couple of chairs next to each other to do some push-ups or, do some wall sits, lean back against the wall and squat down. See how long you can hold it. Do some planks, do some sit-ups, do something to stimulate the muscles. If you're getting at least a little sore from it, if you're breaking a little bit of a sweat, if you feel the blood coming into your muscle and you feel that skin tightening, you're doing work. And that's really all it takes. And you can progress from there.
Right.
It is okay to do something light, and then, you start getting a little more comfortable, go to a gym, then you can start progressing from there, but it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah, and the weather's not great right now. We all know that. It's cold, it's dreary, but getting outside is super important even in this season as well. So not only are you going to get exercise by, going for a walk in your neighborhood or going on a hike. I mean, at least you get some pretty scenery on a hike, and you see your surroundings in your neighborhood. But you'll also get that sunlight, which is going to be paramount in vitamin D production as well, which is really important right now. So,
exactly.
Well, everyone, we've been a little long-winded, but we really hope this has been helpful. Take care, and we will see you next week on another episode of Nutrition Made Simple.
Thanks.
See you.